Conversations with Cliff. I'm a free thinking spiritual beast. We can keep it ratchet or classy. I'm here for the conversation.
What up? Welcome back to another edition of Conversations with Cliff. Today, I am speaking about mental health, one of my subjects that's near and dear to my heart. And I have a special guest with me, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us where she's from and what she does for a living.
How you guys doing? My name's Monica. I am a 23-year Army veteran. I'm getting ready to retire. I'm also a mental health specialist for the Joint Military Base, Fort Lewis, here in Washington. And I met Cliff about maybe 6 years ago. I want to say
it's been a minute. Yeah,
about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
In Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I'm originally from Texas, but I was raised in Louisiana. I have an extensive background in mental health. I started out I have a bachelor's degree in behavioral psychology. So I started out in psychology, and then I moved over to mental health counseling.
Okay. Okay. So what made you get into mental health? Like why did you choose that field?
It's always been something I've been interested in. As a child, I had a rough childhood, and back then, when we were growing up, I think we all had rough childhoods. Discipline for us, what was normal, it was pretty abusive, and I think for us it was considered normal, but mentally it wasn't healthy. And so as I got older and I had children on my own, and I realized like what I went through, I realized that that's not the proper upbringing, and I didn't want to bring my kids up that way. I grew up in a house with four sisters and four brothers. And so people take things differently, so some people can be abused and they can grow up and take that, and they can take that abuse and learn from it and grow and do well. And then some people can take it and they can turn into, bad people.
Yeah,
so
alcoholics,
criminals. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. So when did you realize like you wanted to or had the ability and the gift to heal people?
Honestly, I'm not sure when I realized it, but I think to be the source of healing for other people, I think it's a spiritual gift. I don't think it's just something I think it's bigger than just being empathetic. It's bigger than just having empathy for people. Anybody can be empathetic, but to be an empath is a little bit deeper.
Okay. And then, so being an empath, it comes with a lot of emotional dealings and feelings and all that other stuff that's wrapped in there. Have you figured out how to differentiate your feelings and what you're going through versus other people's feelings, especially those that come to you?
Absolutely. I think you have to have an emotional boundary because at some point when you take on too much from other people, I think it could be emotionally overwhelming for you. And so if you don't separate the two, then you're of no help to other people.
Yeah. So like it feels like sometimes I would walk in a room full of people and it'd be silent, and I would get this immense pressure either on my chest, my whole body. I just get a feeling like, oh my, like, dang, what is going on? And everybody's quiet in the room, but I could hear, I don't want to say I heard their thoughts, but I can it felt like it was a buzzing sound, or like I could feel what they were feeling. And sometimes I would pick up on certain things somebody would feel like they would say, and I would like, hey, don't say that, don't do that. And they kind of look at me like, whoa, like, how you know what I'm feeling? So have you ever had experiences like that when you met somebody, or even if it's a stranger or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, and you know what? I think that goes back to like spiritual intuition. It's not just about being an empath. It's like spiritual intuition. That's really, really strong. A lot of people don't believe in it, but it's a spiritual gift. It's a gift and a curse too, because like I say, it can be emotionally draining for you, especially if you don't have the mental capacity to deal with it. But that's happened to me plenty of times. And if you do have the mental capacity to take that and be able to help somebody else, then that's a great thing.
Yeah. It took me a long time to learn how to turn off the switch, because I could walk in a room and I'm just going crazy. And now my whole day is affected by that, one situation.
Other people.
All them people and there's nobody talking to me, but it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I want to say, shut up. Like, everybody be quiet. But everybody like, yo, what's wrong with you? Crazy. So what kind of people have you attracted, outside of the office, outside of your clients? And I don't want to call them patients, but what kind of people come to you? Because I know as an empath and being intuitive, people are drawn to you. I've seen it. I've witnessed, people come to you over the years.
I'm usually drawn. I think most people that are drawn to me are people that are that's been through a lot, people that emotionally abused, people that's been people that insecure, and honestly, personality people. It's weird too, because it's people that have the same personality as me, but they've also been beat down. So I think they see something to me and they're like, you know what? Like, they can tell I've been through some things too, and I came out of it, and they want that I guess they want that experience from me and just want that advice. And but usually, especially women, I think more so, a lot of abused women are drawn to me, come to me often. Physical fitness too. I've had like all these different backgrounds, like the military people and then the physical fitness people, because I competed. And then now with mental health, it's like I have like the best of both worlds, because I'm able to counsel civilians and then the military people. And it's just, with my military experience, I've gotten an array of experience just dealing with all these different kind of people.
Okay. So when dealing with these folks, I've been told often that we speak before, I'll meet somebody and we'll speak before we actually say any words to one another. It's like a hidden communication thing. And I was trying to figure it out. But it's weird. It's like I have a connection, but it's nothing crazy. It's just like I can look at somebody and say, hey, and it's like, hey, and then they just come over and I'll go over to them and say, hey, man.
And you start talking to them. It's like an immediate connection.
An immediate connection, and then just goes from there. And sometimes it's not an immediate dump of their feelings. It kind of gradually happens. Have you dealt with a situation where somebody just walk up to you, don't know you from, Adam, and they just start just letting it all out? Like, how do you deal with these situations? I know it's
that happens often. That happens often, but you know what? I just try to be understanding. And sometimes, you could be having a bad day where you really just don't want to take on other people's crap. Some days I'm like that when I go in the office here, where I just have clients where I'm just like, look, today ain't the day. I got my own stuff going on. And I really don't want to deal with it. But you just have to you kind of just have to take a deep breath, swallow your pride, and just kind of like, hey, try to be understanding, because that's what you do.
So how do you get into where's the balance for you? Because you just said, you have your moments where you just like, I'm not today. I'm cool. How do you balance that? Because you still got to go to work. Don't nobody care that you don't feel good. Don't nobody care that today ain't my day. Don't nobody care about none of that. You know what I'm saying?
You're right about that.
You know what I'm saying? Where's the balance for you? When do you just know, you know what, today it needs to be personal for me, or I just need.
You know what? I'm gonna give you an example. Remember, I told you, because we were gonna do this podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I told you they had an incident in my son's school. And even that day, I was going to I had clients scheduled that day, so I was still gonna go in. I had all this stuff going on. They had a shooting at my son's school, and I was still gonna go in and see those clients that I had scheduled that day. And then I was going to get on a plane and fly to Texas. And like I was telling you, you have to set those emotional boundaries, because even if I had went in mentally, I wouldn't have been there. I just would have been kind of just there listening and not been able to provide them any kind of productive feedback. So what I did was I canceled my clients for that day, and I got on a plane and I went to Texas. So that's just part of setting those emotional boundaries. You can't mentally be there for somebody else if you're not capable. And so that's just what you got to do. And that's what I did that day. I was like, you know what? I called my supervisor, who's a uniform soldier too. He's a lieutenant colonel, but I called him and I'm just like, look, I told him what happened, and he encouraged me to do the same thing, because we have to have those boundaries, those emotional boundaries, where we know our own limits. And I wouldn't have been any good to anybody that day. I would have been just there like, whatever. Like I'm trying to get to my son.
You ready to go? Because I'm definitely ready. I checked out 10 minutes ago.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So you keep saying emotional boundaries. And I get that dealing with strangers and even friends. Do you have those same boundaries for family and you know your close friends? Do you have those same emotional boundaries? Because you know, especially with kids, something happened to them. Our instinct as a parent, we want to nurture and do everything we can to protect them. But again, you got to set those boundaries, because you can't be so drawn in that you get lost in it. So, like, do you set those for the family as well?
I try to. I think with my kids, it's kind of hard because I have boys, and one of your questions, I think it was your last question, and with this generation, and I'll talk about that later. But it's really hard to set emotional boundaries with your spouse and with your kids because of your love for them, and because of the space that they have how close you are to them, the space that they have in your life. So it's kind of hard to set those boundaries. It's overwhelming, but I do try to, because you have to have your own personal space. But that's a work in progress every day.
I dig it. I definitely understand. So lately, like, mental health has kind of come off as a trending topic. You growing up in the military, like, what's the difference that you notice from a mental health, from a therapist aspect now from when you came in? What's the difference that in healthcare as in that part? What's the difference from then when you came in to now?
So I would say it's more so encouraged now to seek mental health. It is more encouraged. But I won't say that it's reached its peak, because I would tell you now, I still see clients that are concerned, that are in certain communities, SF communities, clients that are still concerned about holding certain positions or security clearances, that are concerned about certain people finding out, like, hey, I'm going to behavioral health, like, they're concerned about being labeled a certain way. So before it wasn't as accepted. And is it more accepted now and is more encouraged to, like, seek that mental health? Yes. But is it where it needs to be? Absolutely not. There's still stigmas and there's still biases, and it's still it's still there.
Yeah, because it seemed like we came from our family background of mental health. We smoke.
Oh, we don't do that.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
We do all
we
this
beat
other
the crap out of our kids, and this is healthy, and this is deal with.
And then and then we go to church on Sunday, and that's our spiritual health.
That's our redemption.
We pray it away, we good, and then we go back to Monday or Sunday night. We right back at the same stuff we was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It feel like we went from that as kids. We joined the military. And we right back in the same boat we just left from, we thought we was running away from.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do coming from what you did and then transitioning the military? I'm like all over the place, but I had, anytime I had a female soldier when I was in, come talk to me, I would tell them, y'all had, Black women, y'all had 2 strikes against y'all when y'all joined the military. 1, you're female, 2, you Black.
Mm-hmm.
How did you deal with all the BS that came with that when you joined the military, like mentally? How did you deal with all that?
For that, as a young soldier, it wasn't so bad. It was just kind of like another, it was kind of just something else to deal with. But as I got in leadership positions, it was hell, because every time you go to a new unit, you got to prove yourself. This last assignment I was in over in Korea, I was in a leadership position in a company of over 500 plus people, not just soldiers, but civilians, and everybody in the unit is a leader, and I'm in charge of leaders, and and I'm a Black woman, and you literally have to prove yourself every day. And when you prove yourself, oh yeah, she did this, but you know what? We still don't believe in her. So it's like every day is draining. You wake up and you constantly got to prove that you know your job, that you know what you're doing, that you're competent. And it's just like mentally, it's part of the reason I was like, you know what? I'm ready to retire. Because like, what am I doing this for? Like, what am I doing this for?
Right.
You know?
It's funny because I said, I think you kind of got a taste of it when we was at Fort Campbell, because you were in a leadership position.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had soldiers, but then you had a gang of leaders who didn't want to listen. Who didn't want to follow?
Absolutely. And on top of that, it's like, do they really respect you? Like, you're doing all this work, but do they respect you? Like, nah, they don't even respect you. So, like, what am I really doing?
Right.
And I'm not going to constantly come in every day and struggle to prove myself to you. Like, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, and you shouldn't, because it's ridiculous that you have to put yourself in that position and come in and fight like you at combat, every day.
And look what I came from too. So like, right. I've already proved myself.
Right, exactly. It's just sad. How, like, as a therapist, do you go to therapy? How, like, 'cause we have mentors. What do you do? Like, what's your outlets for therapy?
So for us right now, currently, I'm not in any therapy. Have I been to therapy before? Oh yes. But so currently, right now, we're required, because we fall under the chaplain's corps, working on posts.
Okay.
So we're required to do 1 week of supervision every week with a doctor. So, and that's a group of us, all the therapists. So we see the doctor once a week in a Zoom group. And we talk about our clients, we go over things like that. And then we also do individual therapy with the doctor once a week. So with our supervisor. So we're required to do that every week. So we get 2 hours of supervision a week. And that's kind of like an outlet, because we get to talk about our clients. We get to like discuss with them any issues we have. And like, if we unable to help a client and we feel like we overwhelmed, we kind of get that advice from a doctor's standpoint, and from like somebody who has more experience than us. These are people who's been in like the mental health field for like 25, 30 plus years. So that's kind of our outlet. And then some of the other counselors, some of the therapists, they do see, other therapists, because like I said, sometimes it's necessary, but it's really hard for therapists to see another therapist because of all the psychoanalysis, and it's crazy.
Both just sitting there, analyzing each other. Like, I know that. I use that move. You can't use that move on me.
Yeah,
that's my signature move.
It's
that's
hard.
Funny.
Thank you for listening. This has been an A2I Media production.